if you followed the cold, dead trail of your missing sister into an abandoned mining town's welcome center, only to realize you had stepped into a time-looping pocket dimension inhabited by horrors you couldn't possibly dream up in your worst nightmares? What would you do? Clover and the friends that she guilt-tripped into her ill-conceived manhunt are straight up not having a good time. Every loop tonight, they're getting butchered, cannibalized, possessed, gassed, exploded, infested, Tarantino'd, brain-bursted over and over and over. And to make matters worse, they've only got 13 nights to figure out how to survive the night before they become it. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the death clock in until dawn. We start out following Melanie. She's alone, desperately clawing her way out of some troglodyte's reproduction chamber. She knocks him off with a good heel kick, emerges from the hole, and a freak with an old mining pickaxe drives a stake through her bosom. The end. Well, great story. Let's see what her friends are up to. Melanie's sister, Clover, and her 4 friends, Max, Megan, Nina, and Abe, are all on a road trip to Clover's trying to find Mel and bring her home, whereas the others are more on the Mel's super gone side, and that by entertaining this wild goose chase, they're providing her with the closure that her only remaining lead has gone cold, just like Melanie. Clover's lead, Melanie's last selfie video. See, Mel was running off to New York to put some distance between herself and the grief of losing their mom, and get a fresh start. Somewhere along the way, she turned up missing. Thankfully, she took this selfie video in front of the Hartley convenience store instead of a random bush. Now, this Hartley convenience store's not Googleable, but with the help of pro geoguesser Trevor Rainbolt, they were able to pinpoint its exact location to a remote abandoned mining town in Glore Valley, Pennsylvania. What the fuck, Google Maps? You'll reroute me over a 5-minute slowdown or a single closed lane, but not if 3 dozen people have mysteriously vanished without a trace over the past few years in the remote town you're directing me into. Cool, thanks. You would think that the algorithm might throw up a red flag when a bunch of GPS signals suddenly go dark in the same spot. Anyway, Clover and her friends all arrive at the same Hartley convenience store. Max says, kinda eerie being here a year later. Wait, what? Why did Clover wait an entire year before actually going to look for her sister? I guess the cops would have told her that they were doing everything that they could. And combined with the grief of losing their mom, plus the emotional distress of maybe losing her sister too, Clover could have easily stalled out on her search for a while. I don't know. Not that it would have mattered much by the time Clover realized Melanie was missing. They were somewhat estranged, and Melanie had taken off on her own. They weren't exactly texting every day. It could have been days or maybe even weeks before Clover reported her missing. If Melanie got injured, lost, or stuck somewhere, her chances of surviving more than a week were already slim. After a year, nearly 0. And if she was abducted, well, statistically, there's a good chance that she was killed within hours. Either way, Clover's not stopping until she digs up Mel's mutilated, decomposing corpse and desecrates the last good memory she has of her sister. And to do it, she's gonna need a cup of coffee first. She asks the attendant if he'd seen her sister come through here, to which he replies, "She's gone missing." Huh, you're not the first one to come here asking me if I've seen someone. Clover asks, do a lot of people go missing around here? The attendant responds, here? No, but up the ways a bit in Glore Valley, that's where people get into trouble. Says the creepy old guy running the ramshack one stop just before Pennsylvania's version of the Bermuda Triangle. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't go up to Glore Valley, but retracing the exact steps of a missing person to the exact place that person went missing, and then taking directions from the dude who works at said last known location, I don't know, man. When you're that close to where someone vanished, odds are the locals know more than they're saying. I mean, have they not seen Cabin in the Woods?
Getting back. That's your concern.
Hills Have Eyes?
I told you it's over! You hear me?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Wrong Turn, House of Wax, Cabin Fever, Deliverance. Point is, never trust the gas station attendant. If it were me in Clover's shoes, I'd start playing it real cautiously here. Maybe do a bit of research into this town first. The gas station attendant seems to know a lot of people who've gone missing in Glore Valley. Are there missing persons reports, even if filed in other counties? And if there are, is there any connection between them? Probably not one that they could easily trace. Glore Valley used to be a mining town until a massive cave-in swallowed most of it 20 years ago. Over 1,000 people died, and almost all the houses and buildings were completely destroyed. What's left now is a ghost town. No police department, no county office, no working infrastructure, just Hartley's convenience store and a few other surviving buildings. Any official record for people who went missing here wouldn't even be filed in Glore Valley. They'd be sitting in their home counties, which means the reports are scattered across the states, disconnected and almost impossible to piece together. For all they could know, Mel was BRTK'd by some sick hillbillies living in the remnant shithole. Instead of driving the whole squad straight into the kill zone, I'd split off into two groups. Since we only have one car, and it's Abe's, I'd say Clover, Nina, and Abe all head up to Glore Valley with the explicit instructions to simultaneously call us and return to the gas station the moment the situation deteriorates under optimal conditions. You lose cell service, you come back. You hit a severe weather storm, you come back. You get a flat tire, you ride the rim back. If your everlasting bubblegum loses its juicy flavor, you come back. I'm choosing this group composition because Abe's just Nina's fling. He doesn't really want to be here, and he's not about to take risks for Clover's probably dead sister. Clover, on the other hand, has enough drive to push Abe to at least check out Glore Valley, since they're there. Nina's the bridge, close enough to Clover to back her up emotionally, but grounded enough to side with Abe when things start getting weird. She'll keep them both from fully leaning into either desperation or detachment. Meanwhile, the second group, consisting of Max and Megan, will hang back at the gas station, also with the explicit instructions to immediately report any strange behavior of either the attendant or the passerbys. If the attendant leaves the station for any reason, report it. If a car follows them up the same road, report it. If the gets clogged, report it. I'm choosing this group composition because Max and Clover had a thing for a while. It went sour after Mel went missing. He still really likes her, maybe even loves her. He's invested enough to head straight into the nightmare if it means saving her. Megan thinks that she can tap into some kind of chi energy, spirit realm connection, which of course is totally ridiculous and of no use to anyone. But Max doesn't have eyes in the back of his head, and Megan's the next best thing. This way, both teams stayed dispersed enough to avoid getting wiped out in a single strike, while still positioned close enough to act as a quick reaction force if the other group needs backup or a hot extract. Clover rushes back to the group, eager to tell them, "I think I know where Mel went missing." Leaving out a few details there. You mean, the creepy gas station attendant told me lots of people go missing in Glore Valley. Ah, right, if you said that, none of your friends would go, since nobody thought to just wait out the storm in the relative safety of the Hartley convenience store, or, at bare minimum, download an offline map in anticipation of the inevitable cell service dropout. They're all currently crammed into Abe's car, yelling at each other, super lost in bumfuck country, getting dumped on by a severe thunderstorm.
We lost! We super lost, man!
With no idea what kind of danger they might be in. Perfect. It's almost like this is exactly why people go missing in these parts. Oh, thank God. They've reached this storm's wall, and literally right on the property line of a bed and breakfast looking place. That's also a welcome center for something. Wow, how could we be so lucky? Said the dumb mice an inch away from a fat chunk of cheese. Cue obligatory, "Is anyone getting a cell signal?" scene to let you know that dialing 911 isn't an option. Other than being weirdly vacant, the giant skull sand clock, Mel's picture on the wall of missing persons flyers, and her name scribbled into the guest book 13 nights in a row with increasingly illegible handwriting, the place actually looks pretty nice. Outside, Clover thinks she sees someone out in the rain. No, brah, that is not your sister. Before they all come together and realize how fucked their entire situation actually is, the sun sets and the death clock rotates to its starting position. Not long after, someone jacks Abe's car and starts taunting them with it. Being empty-handed and trapped, the group splits up to search for a landline or a shotgun, while Nina and Abe keep an eye on the carjacker. Moments later, Abe hears a thud in one of the back rooms and goes to check it out. When he doesn't return after a few minutes, Nina goes to check on him. Oof! Clover, Max, and Megan hear Nina's screams and rush over, only to find the slasher standing over her, pickaxe buried in her spine. They panic run and end up cornering themselves in the basement. Max gets the drop and smashes a chair over its back. It had no effect. The slasher doesn't even flinch, then turns around and punches a jagged wooden shard straight through Max's eye socket. He then yanks Megan out of her obvious hiding spot and smashes her face into the floor. Again, and again, while Clover just watches with a knife in her hand. After Megan received like 10 consecutive TBIs, Clover jumps into action with the letter opener. Oh my god. The trapezius is quite possibly the worst meat chunk you could have stabbed him in. Naturally, the faceless man is completely unfazed by this flesh wound, forcing Clover to flee into the nearby woods, stopping dead in her tracks when she sees what she thinks is Mel. So, yeah, everyone's dead. There's nothing they really could have done there. Slasher Man was pretty much unstoppable, and they were basically fucked. Oh, they're alive again. Problem is, the save point that they respawned at is right before the coal miner version of Voorhees opened up a deli with their ass. Judging by the rotation of the giant skull hourglass, we're locked in a time loop. And judging by the semi-healed wounds everyone's still sporting from their previous death, it looks like our spawn tickets are limited. How limited? Well, the most entries anyone's got in the guest book is 13 nights. Before anyone can grab a weapon, Megan's bones start snap, crackle, popping. They flick the flashlight on. Megan's gone. Everyone quiets down fast when they start hearing whispering coming from the missing persons room, which is probably the worst room in the building to get lured into. When they get there, Megan's levitating in front of the board, eyes pitch black, pointing at different flyers, each one's tormented soul speaking through her like a human Ouija board.
Don't let it in!
Holy shit. Just then, there's a knock at the front door, followed by screams for help from a woman who sounds an awful lot like Mel, which sounds an awful lot like a trap. Clover yanks the door open anyway. No one's there, but there is a new crap shack across the street that wasn't there before, with a door covered in writing that reads, the Glore Witch. Before anyone can react, Clover gets Tarantino'd straight into the witch's den, and Max gets Tarantino'd right back into the bed and breakfast. He wants to go after her, but like, bro, what are you actually gonna do? As Abe points out, Clover just got yeeted 30 feet into the air by an invisible force. You're not doing shit. Clover creeps through the house until she finds an old woman quietly watching Channel 5 news coverage of the Glore Valley mine collapse. Not wanting to disturb her, Clover respectfully tiptoes back towards the front door to sneak out. Surprise, it's sealed by the same force that just launched her across the yard. The old witch actually drops a solid piece of advice before killing her. You either survive the night or become a part of it. Unfortunately, it's not going to help her much, at least not until after she dies. With Clover face tanking the witch's aggro, the force seal on the Welcome Center door breaks, allowing Max to rush in after his bae, and for Nina and Abe to make a break for the car. They don't even get 50 feet down the road before a towering giant thing blocks their path. No idea what it is, but I'm very sure it'll kill them if they try to gun it between its legs. Unfortunately, the psycho's waiting for them to reverse back to the hotel. Max gets knifed by a possessed Clover, and then Clover gets run over by the psycho. Welp. Night number 2 is a complete shit show. At Respawn, Clover tells the group what the witch whispered to her. Survive the night, or become a part of it. Obviously, you can't exactly trust the word of some corp-faced hag, but honestly, it sounds about right. And it's not like they've got any better ideas. The other fun new discovery, it's not just the psycho slasher trying to kill them. If we count the giant, the witch, the psycho, the clown doll, the werewolf sketches on the table, all the other names in the guest book, including Mel, and God knows what else the cabin in the woods staff has queued up, surviving the night's gonna take a miracle. I don't blame them for barricading the bathroom door and attempting to wait out the next 8 to 10 hours. Hell, I don't blame them for quenching their thirst with a little sink water. But little do they know, the evil water towers lurking in the distance, waiting for them to take a little sip. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know I can't show the spontaneous combustion properties of the local municipal tap water. So instead, here's a montage of watermelon rubber band challenges, overlaid on top of the final screams before each person pops like a microwaved egg as a chemical reaction suddenly vaporizes all the blood in their body, turning each one of them into a human meat bomb.
Drink the water!
They were only minutes away from dawn too. Honestly though, that was cool as hell. The water tower's definitely my favorite villain so far. You guys gotta see the full thing by either watching the movie or checking out the uncensored video on my Patreon. Clover has the realization, whoever makes it to dawn exits the loop. But everyone else, still trapped in there, dying night after night, with one less person to help them make it through. She drank the water too, so realistically, she should explode any second now. But if not, she'll have to force a respawn. Might as well lie down and wait a bit to see if that non-potable water saves her from having to bash her own brains in with a rusty hammer. While she's staring at the ceiling, in walks the gas station attendant. I'm so shocked he's in on it. He tells her, "You don't survive by sitting still, Miss Clover." I can't do his accent. I know it's bad. Anyways, Clover explodes. The fuck we can't. Hiding until dawn is absolutely a viable solution, and probably their best shot at surviving. Could Vecna pretzel Megan up like a voodoo doll out of nowhere again? Sure. Could the Kool-Aid Man charge through the walls and stomp them out like a stampeding elephant? Oh yeah. But all those abominations and fates exist outside the bathroom door too, along with dozens of other entities, monsters, and things that want to kill us. Getting chased around for 8 hours is impossibly unsurvivable. They're just gonna die tired. Confronting the nightmares is equally life forfeiting. None of them have even managed to kill a single one of these things. And it gets worse. Each new night presents new unknown horrors that they've developed no counter for. I mean, the water killed them. By doing nothing, they were all mere minutes from dawn, and the sand clock doesn't lie. Really though, it's so directly connected to each respawn and the loop itself that it can't be meaningless. It's too central to ignore the possibility that if they're alive when the last grain drops, that's their way out. It's possible it'll just reset even though they all survived. So to prove that survivors get to go home, I'll volunteer to hide in the bathroom while everybody else runs around as diversions. If I'm gone the next morning, you can be reasonably sure I'm eating pancakes at IHOP. The next night, all the friends go down into the basement where all the exposition was dumped. Based on newspapers tying him to the disaster, VHS tapes of him torturing people until they turn into Wendigos, ID cards showing that he worked at the sanatorium, this gas station guy was actually the psychiatrist hired to provide therapy for the survivors of the mining collapse tragedy. Obviously, this mere mortal of a man didn't create a time-looping nightmare that defies all known laws of physics. No, this warp space must have been opened up by the sheer amount of psychic trauma that the mining collapse unleashed. We can deduce from the observed evidence that Dr. Hill stumbled into this place just like we did. He wasn't the architect. He's not even the admin. He's not in control, and he's definitely not above whatever chaos god runs this loop. He's just a sociopathic psychiatrist who figured out how to not get killed, then stuck around to watch the poor sacks he malevolently funneled into it get torn apart and mutated into unique and exciting monstrosities. We also know that he was chilling at the gas station, which sits safely outside the Thunderdome. This means that there is a way out, and Dr. Hill found it. Not only that, but judging by the fact that he hasn't aged in the 20 years since his sanatorium photo ID was taken post-disaster, he's been going in and out of this dimension pretty regularly, possibly even nightly. A habitual line stepper, if you will. So how's he surviving each night? How's he entering and exiting so routinely? Simple. He's just hiding out until dawn when the sand clock empties. Duh. There's no magic exit door. The loop probably just ends. I'm guessing the time loop runs on a nightly schedule, something like 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. If you die during that window, you get reset. But if you're alive at 5 a.m., the horrors vanish, the loop ends, and you're free to walk. However, if you come back past 7 p.m., you're locked in again until sunrise. Where's Hill hiding out? Probably one of the few surviving structures left that's got 6 sturdy walls, a lockable door, and very importantly, is listed on the pre-collapse map. He's definitely not crashing at the Glore Witch's conjured up Slam Shack. Which one exactly? Well, there's a map that shows the sanatorium Hill worked at not even a 2-minute jog away. If that building is still standing, odds are he's holed up there. Clover comes to the same conclusion pretty quickly, which kinda begs the question, why did he leave out all this incriminating expositional evidence strewn about at the Welcome Center? It's completely antagonistic to his fetish of watching innocent people deteriorate into nightmare entities. He could have just walked over at noon, boxed it all up, and taken it somewhere off campus. While they're all discussing how to get out, Dr. Hill comes on over the old radio.
Oh, there's a way out, but not without a prize. Someone always has to die. 4 of you can leave, but 1 has to die.
Bull. We've been dying all night. Every night since we got here. Clearly, our freedom is not conditioned upon a single meager sacrifice. Thinking back to, the Glore Witch never said anything about a sacrifice. All she said was, survive the night or become it. The nature of the time loop, the Glore Witch's warning, it all points towards simply surviving until dawn. Dennis Reynolds here is not invested in your good health. He's straight up lying. Clover demands to meet with him, face to face, for some kind of tea time therapy session. What is she hoping to gain here, exactly? The guy wants you worse than dead. Hill replies, I'm out in the woods with your sister, and I might just let you see her. Clover, being both desperate and gullible, agrees to it. Predictably, Dr. Hill's not there. What is there is a bear trap. Clover. But you said you would meet me out in the woods. Dr. Hill.
I lied.
Well, it wasn't all lies. Her sister is here. I'm sure Clover's gonna demand to speak with Dr. Hill's manager after this one. Max finds her, pulls the bear trap open, and snaps it closed on Mel's head at the last second. Once they get to a hiding spot, Max tells Clover that Megan was killed by a Wendigo earlier, and that they're gonna need to hit the respawn button. He nicks her jugular with a broken shard of glass, takes a sip from the leaky pipe, then explodes. Not sure why he went for Clover's throat. She could have just taken a sip from the fountain of death too. Her self-detonating is arguably less traumatic than you killing your friend. I don't know, maybe not. Whatever. Nina and Abe are also killed by the psycho, forcing a total reset. At the start of the next night, the physical and mental deterioration of their bodies is tangible. Abe's back is growing dorsal spines. Their veins are turning black. And due to their severe amnesia, they can't even remember how many nights that they've been here. That is, until they check the guest book. Uh-oh. They've already been here 12 nights. which means tonight is the 13th and final night. Wow, they really suck at this. If they die tonight, in all likelihood, they become the night permanently, just like Mel. The amnesia is a serious problem too. They can barely remember what monsters that they faced, what tactics worked, and what got them killed. That's when Abe realizes he's been recording videos on his phone each night, videos that could help them survive tonight. Alright, let's see what fresh hell we've completely forgotten about being killed by.
What?
Face worm? Yep, glad I blocked that one out, but thanks for the refresher. Giant doll man, horrifying. Love that for us. Wendigo, classic.
What is that?
Nina gushing blood out of her eyeballs while Siren Head melts her brain with high-frequency sound attacks. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I don't feel better prepared for tonight. They all also get the feeling that something else is off, like they're forgetting something. Oh, right, Megan's missing. Abe plays last night's video. In it, Megan's the sole survivor, telling us how she's gonna follow Hill to see if she can find any answers. Jesus Christ, you're all still on that like 10 nights later? Good God. Megan being missing could be due to one of three realities. 1. Megan survived until dawn and said, "Screw you guys, I'm going home." Unlikely. Megan's a homegirl, and hanging her friends out to dry is bad for her chi. 2. Megan became a monster, though it was only night 12 out of 13. While it's plausible that each person deteriorates at a different rate depending on how weak their sanity is, like in the Demonologist game, everyone else made it to night 13 without turning, so statistically, this is also unlikely. 3. Megan is being held captive by Dr. Hill. Considering she was last seen following him and those VHS tapes where Hill was torturing people at the sanatorium, I'd say this is the most likely. Cool, all we need to do is find Megan, free her, kill Dr. Hill, and hide in his office until sunrise. Easier said than done. Sure, it's technically a short jog to the sanatorium where she's probably being held. And yeah, the 5 of them could probably overpower Hill, assuming he's dumb enough not to be packing a gun. But the Welcome Center's already surrounded by pure dag-nasty evil. And to make matters worse, Siren Head's out there blasting them with its own built-in LRAD. What's with the team stacking? So all the cryptids are claned up in Hell's HOA running some kind of truce in order to assimilate us into the neighborhood? This is bullshit. You know what? I'm sure Megan can find her own way out. Oh, what? Okay, fine. Let's all just casually stroll through the long, dark underground tunnel crawling with monsters, so we can creep through the sanatorium, also full of monsters, on the off chance that we can find Megan in time to then immediately get killed by said monsters. It actually goes better than expected. Clover impales her Wendigo sister, and Nina, Max, and Abe hammer time the psycho's brains all over the floor. Clover eventually makes it to the sanatorium and stumbles upon Megan almost immediately. Hill's got her locked up in a cell with another Wendigo weakly bolted into the wall across from her, only a matter of time before it wiggles loose. Clover desperately rushes to search the nearby offices for the key. Then Hill steps in and calmly locks the door behind them. He tells her this place feeds on her insecurities, her fears, that she's the engine driving it all, conjuring the nightmares, just like Melanie and everyone else who came before her. While he's rambling with his back turned, Clover quietly slides his coffee cup under the leaky pipe, infusing it with a nitro mayo explodey juice, then carefully slips it back before he notices. He takes a sip, then busts all over the walls and all over Clover's face. She grabs his keys, frees Megan, and crawls back out to the surface, where Nina, Max, and Abe are just casually hanging out. Bit risky to be standing out in the open like that, but okay. The Super Friends all make it to sunrise alive, just as the last grain of sand drops. The storm wall lifts, and they're finally free to get off the ride. Looks like their body horror mutations reversed too, so that's good. Hopefully they snitch to the authorities, post up a sign, anything to keep anyone else from accidentally wandering into the Glore Valley Welcome Center. Maybe Google Maps can finally tag the area with a traffic alert and reroute people around it. There's just one loose end. Dr. Hill. Yeah, he exploded, but he died inside the time loop, which means he's respawning at the Welcome Center later today at dusk, and will have to survive until the following dawn, which clearly he knows how to do, and once he does, he'll probably just go right back to his sick experiments. So to stop that, we should go get a gun, come back at dawn, then smoke his ass outside the loop to make sure he stays down for good. In the end, the death loop wasn't some elaborate mystery. It was just hide and seek with extra steps and existential consequences. The solution? Hide until dawn, kill Dr. Hill, then hammer a dead end sign into the road. For that reason, I'd say the death clock in Until Dawn was beaten. Moral of the story, never trust the gas station attendant in a remote part of town.